Hello everyone, my name is Tori Smith, and I monitor a child trafficking operation of the United States, and it's actually around the world, which is run by DARPA and the CIA. And this has just been really horrific for me to deal with, especially like days like today. It was pretty intense around here because 32 more ships had come in with reptilians, and there are more on the way. And I was, at least I had the belief that that was over, and that, after over 8,000 had been arrested and removed. But what's happened is, since here on Earth, the leaders of the dark side are all gone. The Rockefellers, the Bushes, the Windsors, and the Rothschilds, and many other people like Benjamin Netanyahu, Henry Kissinger, and so forth, Zbigniew Brzezinski. I don't call them leaders, a lot of people do, but the main people of this dark entity group that creates so many war crimes on this planet are gone. And so I keep hearing over and over again, Earth is ripe for the picking. And there's been a situation that's really, well, the whole thing is very disturbing, but I keep hearing, these people talk because, well, I'd rather not go into it here because it's, partially because I've done these bilocation exercises before I remember to ask for help. I could tell, I can tell when the kids are being murdered. And then I can connect to the DNA of the children, of the murderers, of the child traffickers who bring them in, etc. There's also videos. This has all been recorded, which is being used as evidence against these people. And the galactic trials are very unique to us because when a person like, George H.W. Bush, when he went to trial, there's no judge and there's no attorneys. And they're not like trials here where an attorney says, oh, don't worry, I'll get you off. It doesn't work like that there. When George H.W. Bush went to trial, he sat there and watched the videos of the crimes he committed. And of course they have to be restrained because if not, they would get up and walk away. But I kept hearing this DARPA employee complaining over and over again, I'm not cleaning up this mess. I'm not cleaning up this mess. And for those of you who don't know, what they do is they have these table beds. And I was raped on them. I was raped on them beside little children who are really close to me, maybe 5-6 feet away. They put them down in rows, and they usually drug the children. For adults, every once in a while, a man like me, a gay man, but usually it's women. When they really want to traumatize somebody, they'll bring an adult in and rape them right alongside the children. That's what happened to me a couple times. And but the men, because sometimes they have like 20 children, but 100 men. And what they do is all the dudes stand around and watch 20 of their buddies rape 20 children, and then when they're finished, another guy jumps up and takes a turn. So basically, for a couple of hours, most of the men just stand around watching other men rape children. And they call that loading them up with semen deposits, because they feel that the more times they load children up with semen deposits, the more that they'll be rewarded in the afterlife. Yeah, as if, right? And this one DARPA employee, I did a little research. I've been looking at his DNA, and I talked to some people in heaven because I heard something. He walked into the room, and he was really, because he was being yelled at, scolded for not cleaning up the mess. And this happened in Denver on Friday night. On Denver on Friday night, they had a special summon Satan party. Because, see, nobody can find Satan, but I've told them over 10,000 times, I swear, maybe not that many, but Satan and Lucifer were the last of these type of beings called Draco Reptilians, and they were a specific type, but I don't know the species name. Species names are very difficult for me to get. But they were the last two of a group of 1,738 to be arrested, and this began in May of 2012, and it extended to September of 2013. And they've been desperately trying because Satan and Lucifer used to show up at every one of these events. And, they would visit every single one. Well, they haven't seen him for years, and they're getting nervous because all the reptilians that are coming in are being arrested and removed by the Galactics. And this one guy, I heard them yelling at this guy because he won't clean up the room. And he said, well, when I walked in the room, I slipped and fell on a little girl's head. And he's refusing to clean up the mess made by 46 reptilians who brutally slaughtered 112 children. And what they did in this case was, and they like to do this for the reptilians, because these dark entity reptilians love to kill humans. They've been doing it for millions of years, probably somewhere between 4 and 6 million years. I don't know the actual dates. But the children, like I said, are drugged. And, well, they also have paralyzation weapons they can use on the adults. They also drug us too. But they were allowing the drugs to wear off so the children could move a little bit. And I wrote down these details because I want to make sure that I'm accurate. But after some of these children are like raped to up to 100 times each, you know, the drugs were allowed to wear down, but not all the way, you know, because they like easy targets. And these reptilians consider themselves to be the most fierce warriors in the universe. And a lot of them weigh 300 pounds. And if you Google images for reptilians, those are actually the cartoonish, handsome ones, because there's some that are so hideous you can't even stand to look at them. But they average about 300 pounds, and they're solid muscle. You know, I know when you look at Dick Cheney's fake human body, he was just like a pile of blubber, you know, and like Jeb Bush and all these other, you know, filthy low-life criminals. But the reptilians are actually very muscular, and they're very strong. And, you know, how much of a warrior can you be if you're a 300-pound muscle man and you murder a 4-year-old girl who weighs 50 pounds? But that's the way they consider it. A lot of times they attack us while we're sleeping, while we're in the shower, while we're on the toilet. And they love to attack people while they're sleeping. They can bring in machinery or devices, whatever you want to call them, to constantly attack us while they're sleeping, to drain our energy. They attach things to our heart called a cyclops, which is an artificial intelligence unit device that sucks energy out of you. They have so many different things. And the talons, you know, everyone's seen a cone, right? A circle that's a cone, but their fingernails are like, they're called talons, but they're like circle cones that are bent a little bit, you know, and they kind of can stick out maybe just a couple inches. And so they basically can rip away human flesh off a child like tissue paper, wet tissue paper even. It just goes right off the body. It's not pretty, at least to us humans, at least if we're not criminally insane, it can affect us. I don't know how I'm still sane after all this. And, you know, I remember one of the times that Dick Cheney had murdered a whole group of children all by himself. He ran around killing children because they like to induce fear in humans while they're murdering us. And it took the DARPA crew 4 days to clean the blood off the ceiling, off the walls, off the floors. And I don't know if you can imagine, you know, all these horror movies and everything, all these zombie movies or whatever, but can you imagine walking into a room and seeing body parts of 112 children with blood sprayed everywhere? And, you know, even these, because there's no humans that work for DARPA, they're human reptilian hybrid species. I call them blended DNA people, because there's a lot of people. There's 58% of us here on Earth that are human, and the rest are blended people. You know, 2 or 3 species, sometimes 4 different species. But they had to create that in a lab, because it's not like there's a 4-species man and a 4-species woman who get together and have a 4-species baby. You know, if that does happen, it would have to be extremely, extremely rare. But, you know, cleaning up these messes is, you know, it's even becoming extremely difficult for the most cold-blooded of these killers to do. And this one guy, he was quote, you know, he said, you know, he slipped and fell on a little girl's head when he walks into the room. He says, "This is way too much for me. I would rather you kill me than clean up this mess." And I've had a lot of difficulty over the past few days in making reports, because they keep heavily attacking me. It's so much more than usual. And, you know, I have to clear myself out every few seconds to make sure that, you know, I'm not being bombarded with false information and energy weapons, and they have this thing where they call hot spots, where they can, I'm sitting here in the kitchen, and this spot is where, one of the hot spots. And, but, I don't make the reports in this spot anymore. I have to move around and clear out the energy. But like this weekend, Friday night, 19 children were murdered in Indianapolis. Indianapolis State Police murdered 7 more children. Indiana Governor Mike Pence murdered his 39th child. Mitch Daniels was there, and he murdered his 18th child, which I'll probably do a separate report on Indianapolis. I wish I could do a separate report for every DARPA MILAB location. And but Thursday, 66 children were murdered in 4 locations. Friday, 333 children were murdered in 17 locations. Saturday, 237 children were murdered in 14 locations. And Sunday, today, 116 children were murdered in 6 locations. And I'll do my best to, get those reports done as soon as possible. But I wanted to share what goes on in these rooms, because I really feel, if we got 2 million people or 3 million people together and we all sat down and did a focused meditation with the intent to end this, it would literally end in a matter of a couple seconds, and or maybe a few minutes or a day or so or whatever. But I just really, we don't have the support. We just don't have the support in America. People just don't care, or they just don't know. And but whatever the reason is, it's continuing on. But I do, for those of you who are praying to bring this to an end, I do thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. God bless you.